For kids with asthma,
I'm gonna run full speed!
there's nothing more exciting than running after your sister. When he was just 2 years old, Willie Epperly started taking the asthma allergy drug Singulair.
We thought it was just a normal 2-year-old terrible twos type thing.
Melissa Epperly says in the beginning it was subtle.
By the time he got to pre-K, he was pushing children, he was yelling at the teacher, he wasn't sitting still, he wasn't following directions. I mean, it was just, I was literally afraid he was going to get kicked out of school.
I told my teacher I can't stop because I have a bad mist.
Even Willie knew something wasn't quite right.
I tried to stop my body from doing bad things. I told it to stop, but it kept on doing it.
When doctors told Melissa her son might have ADHD and might need even more medication, she decided to reread Singulair's packaging and discovered side effects had been added while Willie was on the drug. Aggressive behavior, hostility, hallucinations, night terrors, tremors, irritability, anxiety, depression, even suicide.
When we finally looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is.
Children are not small adults.
Dr. Ann Zychek is a pediatric pharmacologist with the National Institutes of Health and says it can be hard to diagnose behavioral side effects in a child.
And the fact that they're developing makes them completely different. The way they absorb drugs, the way they clear drugs, the way their liver metabolizes drugs, the way their kidneys clear drugs is all, at least for school-age children, considerably faster than adults.
Dr. Zychek says parents don't always know the difference between normal growing pains and serious side effects. To help doctors with a diagnosis, she says parents need to keep a daily log of their child's behavior before and after they start using any type of drug, and if possible, catch it on video.
Where he was tremoring and squeaking and just making all these funny noises and rolling his eyes all the time.
Eileen Goldman says she noticed her twins Liam
Hi.
and Jake becoming hyperactive and anxious, but didn't really worry until Liam started to shake.
Liam, why are you doing that? And I would say to him, why are you doing that? I don't know. What do you mean? I don't know.
Eileen says doctors were convinced her son had developed the neurological disorder Tourette's until she took both boys off Singulair and says their symptoms disappeared.
They started having these problems on the drug. When they were taken off the drug, they got better. And that's sort of a hallmark of a drug-induced illness.
Dr. Sidney Wolfe is the author of Worst Pills, Best Pills and lists Singulair as a do-not-use drug.
Children haven't been adequately studied for a lot of drugs, and yet, because of heavy promotional campaigns, they wind up being treated with a number of drugs that have really questionable benefit to risk ratio.
He says millions of kids are put on Singulair instead of other drugs because Merck, the company that makes Singulair, has launched an aggressive marketing campaign, teaming up with kid-friendly groups like Scholastic Press and giving money to the American Academy of Pediatrics to train doctors on diagnosing and prescribing proper medication for asthma.
I mean, the drug companies don't spend $52 billion a year advertising promotion drugs just because they like to give money away. It works.
Merck says we are confident in the safety of Singulair. A spokeswoman says the company has conducted clinical trials on more than 2,700 children. And while the tests were not specifically designed to identify behavioral side effects, such events were recorded as adverse events. Since they could be possibly related to Singulair, the company says we elected to put it in the labeling. After consulting with their doctor, the Epperleys took Willie off of Singulair and put him on a different asthma drug.
The first week after he was off it, I was like, he said, excuse me, and I was like, what'd you do with my child, you know? I'd never heard excuse me before. You know, I was like,
She says now she no longer worries about Willie's next outburst. Willie, what you want to ask?
Can I go upstairs?
Yes, you may. Go for
nice
it.
asking, sweetie.